I can tell you this about my father's childhood. He grew up in a one-bedroom apartment in which he and his brother slept together on a pull-out couch in the living room. He was a stickball player on the streets of the South Bronx and lettered in track in high school. I can tell you these things about my mother's childhood. She grew up with a view of the George Washington Bridge from her bedroom window, and she contracted every childhood disease possible, including polio. My parents were both children of Eastern European Jewish immigrants who came to this country in the early 1900s. This small trove of facts is not everything that I know about my parents' early lives, but what else I know is smaller than a bread box, and what I don't know could fill the ocean that my grandparents crossed to come to America. Here are some things I can tell you about my grandparents. My paternal grandfather, Sam, was a tailor, a sample maker of women's coats. He died when he was 49, just months before my parents married. My paternal grandmother, Fanny, worked at the Arrow Shirt Company after emigrating to America, sewing collars on shirts. She died when I was in college. My maternal grandfather, Al, went to night school to learn English, carrying a lantern through the streets of New York to light his way. After work, he often sat on the balcony of his apartment, playing mandolin songs from the old country. He died when I was 12. My maternal grandmother, Rose, worked in a hat factory after arriving in New York and earned money to bring over other members of the family. When my father, my one remaining grandmother, and my mother all died within 6 years of each other, I thought, maybe my longevity genes aren't that great. I was bored with my job and decided it was time to find something that I really loved doing before it was too late. I started working for the Boulder Library's oral history program, eventually becoming the program's manager. It turned out to be the thing that I really loved doing, but the first month I worked with tears running down my face while I listened to other families' stories and mourned the opportunities I had lost for having my own family tell me theirs. For the first time, I realized that my head held a handful of tantalizing nuggets about the lives of my family members, and that there would have been so much more to know about my grandparents' childhoods, their passages to America, their first years here, about my parents' childhood neighborhoods, whether they loved or hated school and why, about all their joys and fears and sorrows. When we cleaned out my parents' house after my mother's death, we came across a box of unlabeled reels of film that I didn't know existed. And there they all were, walking and silently talking and alive. The one grandfather I'd never known, my other grandfather playing his mandolin, my mother showing off her engagement ring, my parents goofing around with their friends, and my parents getting married. A gift of stories without words. It is at once enough and never enough.